Yo, what's going on, guys? Crispy Flakes here. Welcome to Extra Crispy. For today's video, we got a video about Jimmy High Roller titled Something I Never Thought I Would See, which seems like something that's more of a common theme in the NBA, man. It just seems like every single season there's just crazy records being broken or just, I don't know, man, so much like amazing things out there when it comes to this beautiful sport. So let's go ahead and get going on it.
Butler, Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Chris Paul, Luka Doncic, Jalen Brunson, Stephen Curry, Jason Tatum, Brandon Ingram, John Morant, Jaylen Brown, DeAndre Ayton, Kyrie Irving, Pascal Siakam, Desmond Bane, Jordan Poole, Brandon Clark, Karl Anthony Towns,
Future
Joel Embiid,
Pistons,
James Harden, Tyrese Maxey, CJ McCollum, Anthony Edwards, Donovan Mitchell, Klay Thompson, and Nikola Vucevic.
Okay.
Now, you may be asking yourself, why did I just name 26 random NBA players with absolutely no context? Well, they're not random.
Smile if Cade Cunningham's better than you. All right, Kat, you're cool. Okay,
These
Kat.
are all the players who have outplayed
got
Kevin
confidence
Durant in the first round of the NBA playoffs.
Oh, damn.
I've seen a lot of things in my day, but never, ever did I think I'd see the day where Brandon Clark outperformed Kevin Durant in the playoffs.
Brandon Clark
And
a
yet
beast,
here we
though.
are. After being held as the favorites coming into the 2022
To like
NBA season,
Kenyon
the
Martin,
Nets
reminds me
have
of
been
Kenyon
bounced
Martin.
out of the playoffs in a first-round sweep, thanks to arguably the worst playoff series of Kevin Durant's career. Is this the worst playoff run we've ever seen from an NBA
With no
superstar?
Westbrook?
Or is Durant just the latest addition to a long list of all-time greats with all-time playoff meltdowns?
I think it was a weird year, and I think that Celtics
Today's
defense...
video is brought to you by
SeatGeek. Yo, I got hit me up a Pistons game. I went to one, I think went to one this prior season. Yeah, I did. So I got to see Cade play. It was really cool, man. It was really cool.
The date is May 7th, 1995.
Okay.
The Chicago
was
Bulls
3.
are facing the Orlando Magic in the second round of the NBA playoffs. Michael Jordan had just returned to the NBA 6 weeks prior after his first retirement and was still shaking off the rust. The Bulls knew the Magic were going to be a tough matchup, but at the time, no one knew just how dominant this Magic squad was. Only 27 years later can we look back on this game and say that it would go down as the worst playoff performance in Michael Jordan's entire career.
Hey, he allowed to do it every once in a while. Damn, man. It's good defense. Looking like Jaylen Brown on KD. Yo, they are playing him like I would like a defensive beast, I should say. Hams in the passing lane. Horace Grant doing some things with them goggles on. Big Shaq grabbing the boards. Oh, yeah.
Under 3 minutes to go in the third. Jordan did not have the shot. Jordan
wearing that damn number 45. Got to put 23 back on. Just keeps on going, huh? Take a shot every time MJ turns it over. Yeah.
19 points, 8 turnovers, 36% from the field, and 0 for 2 from 3. The worst playoff stat line of Michael Jordan's career.
Lakers Westbrook.
The Bulls went on to lose this game, and
more
Michael
assists.
ended up with a game score of 2.6. An average playoff game score from an average NBA player is about 8, which means that for a single game, Michael Jordan played considerably worse than an average player. On that night, MJ wasn't the best player on the court, or the second, or third,
not do it for 4 games in a row, and that's
in
KD.
fact, Michael had one of the worst games of anyone that suited up that night. This is the first, and probably last time you'll see MJ at the bottom of any sort of list on this channel. And I bring up this infamous 1995 playoff game because after seeing Kevin Durant play in this year's playoffs, I began to wonder, how bad can things truly get for an NBA superstar?
Yo,
It's
Al
one thing to
Horford,
miss some
Defensive Player of the
shots,
Year.
get on a bad run and
Tatum
find
getting the
yourself
hands in
struggling
there.
to get out of it. It's a completely different thing to collapse for an entire playoff series as
Low-key
your team
fouls,
gets swept
but-
out of the first round of the playoffs. In Durant's 14-year
basketball.
NBA career, I have never seen him play or even act like this on the court. KD was playing so bad.
That's because he always had the greatest point guard of all time to play with, Russell Westbrook, and he got a few seasons with the second greatest all time in Steph Curry. I just made so many people angry with that for so many reasons.
I was genuinely wondering if he was dealing
So
with
many
some
reasons.
sort of serious injury. Are KD and Kyrie beefing or something? Did Durant bet against the Nets in this series? I'm being serious. Those are genuine questions.
No, they
I've
ain't.
never seen Durant look so hesitant and
You don't think KD bet on the games.
disengaged
Come on now.
and just off. The last time we saw KD in the playoffs, he was averaging 35 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists a game, while carrying the Nets and nearly taking down the eventual champs in the Bucks by himself. What happened? Just take a look at KD's playoffs numbers throughout his career. There's a steady increase in production and efficiency for over a decade. Even last season, at 32 years old, after not playing basketball for a year, his numbers were still off the charts. Now, here's his scoring numbers from this year's playoffs. I'm looking at a clip right
damn.
now,
Wow.
from the Kevin Durant we
Fall
all know and
off.
love to this player that seems so unsure in
That's an outlier, anomaly. I've been learning that word lately.
himself and his
Trying to
abilities.
incorporate it into my
We
everyday
all watched
language.
the series unfold and we saw just how bad he was playing. But the extent of his troubles goes much further than you may think. The Nets are the only team that
I do like that the fall off is 26 points per game.
didn't win a single playoff game in this year's playoffs. This is the same team that was favorited to win the finals at the start of the season.
Damn.
Well, almost the same team, with the subtraction of James Harden and the addition of Ben Simmons.
He doesn't have
Oh, he said-
the heart.
Oh, he said Ben
Guy
Simmons.
doesn't have it. There's no dog in it. There's no dog. There's no dog in
Okay.
the guy.
Oh,
He's
damn.
soft.
Damn.
But I
Damn,
asked myself,
man.
is this the worst playoff run from a superstar ever? There's been some bad showings over the years. Playoff series that made us question the entire legacy of a
I will say, I don't know what the reason is. I think it's because, like, when KD first joined the Warriors, like, he got so much hate, so maybe the hate just doesn't seem like it will ever, like, add up to that ever again. But I'm just saying, man, like, if there was other superstars that had that KD-like performance, be getting roasted a lot more, man, a lot more. I feel like KD getting let off easy, but he'll be still getting roasted, but I think it's just maybe plagued a little bit about the Golden State roasted that happened years ago. Does that make sense?
Monumental choke jobs. But was Kevin Durant's first round series against the Celtics one of the worst we've ever seen from an all-time talent? Well, I checked. I searched through hundreds of playoff series by some of the greatest players in NBA history. And the answer
Again, Big
may
Ben.
not be what you expect. Okay, so here's a chart of the worst playoff performances by all-time greats over the last 40 years, with game score on the y-axis and net rating on the x-axis. Now, I only included seasons once a player reached their prime, and immediately there's some key points that jump out. This region
What happened
right
with
here
D-Wade? What year
is
was
the
that?
legacy tarnishing region. If a player has a playoff series that lands them in this region, it will inevitably lead to harsh criticisms of that player and
Honestly, like, I still think D-Wade is the third greatest shooting guard of all time behind MJ and Kobe. Yeah, okay.
their abilities as
I don't
a
feel like these guys are tarnished. Not because of, like, their playoff struggles. I don't know. But then again, Iverson, CP3, no rings there, but I don't know, man. I don't
Within
know.
this region, you'll find a handful of the worst playoff series by some of the greatest players of all time. But you know what series you won't find in this region? LeBron's 2011 Finals against the Mavericks.
Negative
one of the
1.5.
all-time biggest playoff meltdowns in NBA history. And it's not even close to one of the worst series by a superstar that we've ever seen. Here's Stephen Curry's 2016 Finals performance, where after winning the
That's 'cause
first
the
and
haters-
only unanimous MVP in league history, Curry had an absolute meltdown in the finals. His team blew a 3-1 lead, and to this day, he hasn't heard the end of it. As monumental as LeBron's collapse was in 2011, Curry's collapse in 2016 was even worse.
LeBron get the most
Or
hate,
what
though.
about Kobe Bryant's disastrous performance in the 2004 NBA Finals, where in his prime, Kobe averaged just 22 points per game on 38% shooting?
You want to know something crazy about, Kobe? Is that, when I was a young blood growing up watching Kobe, back in 2004, 2005, like, that was on the West Coast. I was always past my bedtime, so I didn't really get to stay up and watch, like, the late games. But, like, whenever he would play against, like, the Pistons, I was just like, this Kobe guy is all right, man. Like, he's a good basketball player. I rarely ever, like, unless it was the playoffs or, NBA finals, stuff like that, I rarely ever got to see Kobe play great because I was watching all the Piston games, and whenever we play the Pistons, I think he's got, like, the lowest points per game against Detroit, which is still really good. But, yeah, I just always thought that was kind of interesting. Like, Kobe never really did well against Detroit.
Shooting from the field, and a dreadful 17% shooting from 3 for the series. The Lakers nearly got swept by the Pistons, winning just one
they
game
focused on Kobe and let Shaq do his thing.
Away from those 5 games with the worst playoff stretch of his entire career.
Lindsey Hunter.
This was one of the worst playoff series by a superstar in league history. But somehow, Shaquille O'Neal matched this piss-poor performance with a meltdown of his own in the 2006 NBA Finals.
Dame was like 90 at that point.
Carrying the load for the Miami Heat, Shaquille O'Neal had the worst stretch of playoff games in his entire career. 14 points and 10 rebounds a game, while shooting just 29% from the free throw line and being an all-out liability on defense. His average game score throughout this 6-game series, 9.6.
Damn, Eric Dampier on him. Oh. Y'all was about to say, you're not going to let Eric Dampier put the Dame Hakeem moves on you, Shaq. Come on now, it's time to retire at that point.
Player in the finals. The man scored 5 points in Game 2 and just 9 points in Game 6. This series should have been a huge black mark on Shaq's legacy, but it's not. 16 years later, and no one even remembers the fact that Shaq was getting benched in the NBA Finals. But wait, it gets worse, because back in 2014, Dwayne Wade put together the worst finals appearance by a superstar in modern NBA history. 15-3 and 3 a game on 43% shooting.
I don't remember it being that bad, but damn.
Average game score of just 7.9 and a net rating of -7.8. A series this bad in the finals kind of makes you wonder how a performance like this went free of virtually any criticism. Maybe in the moment, Stephen A. Smith spouted out a well-worded monologue, but that's about it. 8 years later, and this series collapse from Dwayne Wade might as well have never even happened. And believe it or not, there have been multiple superstars that virtually never had a bad playoff run. Here's Tracy McGrady's worst playoff series against the Jazz in 2007. Here's Dirk's worst playoff series against the Rockets in 2005. Larry Bird and Kawhi Leonard have never had a bad playoff series once they entered their prime.
Y'all want to see the best.
With impossibly great consistency is Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan, pretty much being the best all the time no matter what. So, if these are the worst playoff series by some of the greatest players of all time, where does Durant's round 1 series against the Celtics land?
Oh boy.
Well, right here. Far from some of the worst playoff runs we've ever seen. Did Durant have a good first round series? No, far from it, especially by his standards. But let's look at the big picture here. The man averaged 26, 7, and 6 a game.
I really do credit it more to the Celtics defense. That's why I'm rolling with the Celtics team for the playoffs. They got that Detroit basketball defense, man, 2004 style, baby. I mean, a game against the Bucks didn't really go so well, but that's why I'm rolling with them.
And nearly had a 40-point triple-double in the closing game of the series. Now sure, we're used to seeing even more from Kevin Durant, and the fact that the Nets got swept out of the first round certainly doesn't help his case. But I mean, which is worse? Putting together a masterpiece of a choke job in the finals with a championship on the line, or getting bounced out of the first round of the playoffs long before you even had a shot? If you think this is the worst meltdown from a superstar in the playoffs, I've got some news for you. It's not even close. If this is the worst that we've ever seen and will ever see out of Kevin Durant, then it's a whole lot better than what we've seen from other all-time greats. Kobe was a shell of himself in a final series that nearly ended up in a sweep. Shaq was getting benched in the NBA Finals. But because the Miami Heat walked away with the championship thanks to Dwayne Wade turning into God himself in a Heat jersey, Shaq's performance got...
And I'm sorry, years down the road, if people are even talking about Kevin Durant getting swept against the Boston Celtics like that, it's still going to be... I don't know if plagued is the right word, but it's still going to be reflective of Ben Simmons isn't playing the series and the stuff going on with Kyrie. I think people are going to look at it and just be like, the season was an anomaly.
Swept under the rug. Back in 2010, Kevin Garnett averaged just 10 points per
game
against the Orlando Magic in the Eastern Conference Finals. But the Celtics still won in 6, so I guess we'll just act like that never happened. Don't get me wrong, seeing Kevin Durant go 0 for 10 in the second half of a playoff game almost feels like some sort of dream. Like I should be waking up any moment now. Watching Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving default to Bruce Brown in the playoffs.
Hey, Bruce Brown's the beast.
Be the least likely thing I'd ever thought I'd see on an NBA.
Nah, Bruce Brown's the man.
But the fact is, no matter how good a player is, no matter what legacy they've spent years building, every single player has had a playoff run they wish they could get back. A series where they wish they could hit the reset button on and get another chance at. And this round 1 series just happens to be Kevin Durant's. Hope you all enjoyed.
Yeah, and I think just in general, media and social media and all that stuff in general just kind of amplifies a little bit more than maybe it did back in the day, you know, when Shaq was playing bad and stuff like that, all that. Like, people would have been roasting back in the day, too, with all that. But that's all we got for this video. That was super exciting. Thank you all so much for watching, and peace out, my friends.